August 6th is not an ordinary date. You didn't come across this message by accident. There's a spiritual rearrangement happening behind the scenes, and it's quiet, subtle, unspoken. But your body already knows. Your emotions already feel it. Have you been more tired than usual, even after rest? Have you felt distant from the world, more sensitive to noise, more drawn to silence? That's not random. That's how the Spirit warns before it reveals. That's how God calls you back into alignment, before He delivers clarity. This isn't about fear, it's about presence. Because if you're not aware of the shift, you'll miss the message. And this time, the message is only for those who are spiritually awake. Something is being whispered into your life right now. Will you be still enough to hear it? There are days when heaven doesn't shout. It doesn't come with thunder, lightning, or earthquakes. It doesn't tear through the skies or stop time. Instead, it speaks in a stillness that only the Spirit can perceive. August 6th is one of those days. It won't make headlines. It won't come with signs you can photograph. But if you're spiritually aligned, you'll know something happened, something shifted, something opened. You'll feel it in the silence before the morning even starts. A subtle awareness, a quiet tension, like the air is thicker with meaning, like your soul is waiting for something you can't yet name. This is the kind of day heaven sets aside for the chosen ones. Not the loud, not the proud, not the distracted, but the attentive. The ones who've trained their spirit to hear beyond the noise. Because God isn't always looking for who's the strongest. He's looking for who's present. Have you noticed how the most powerful moments of your life came not in chaos, but in stillness? Not in the crowd, but in solitude? Not when everything made sense, but when nothing did. And yet your heart knew? This is what today carries. A divine echo wrapped in silence. A message that's not spoken, but released. And if your spirit is not alert, you might miss it. This day was never meant to be ordinary. It's been prepared in heaven's calendar, marked, timed, and you were meant to be spiritually awake for it. That's why your body feels the way it does. That strange fatigue that rest doesn't fix. That pull toward solitude you can't explain. That inner question that keeps circling even though life looks normal on the outside. It's because heaven is speaking. But it's not shouting. He's calling you to lean in, to pause, to step back from the noise and recalibrate your focus. Because this day is less about action and more about alignment. It's less about doing and more about becoming still enough to hear. When God wants to prepare a chosen one, He starts by creating a sacred distance from the world, not to isolate you in punishment, but to position you for revelation. You may feel misunderstood today, disconnected from your usual rhythm, out of sync with others. Don't resist it. Don't try to force normal. This isn't a day for routine. This is a day for receptivity. Ask yourself honestly, have I been so busy listening to the world that I've stopped hearing heaven? Am I available in spirit or just in flesh? What would change in me today if I truly believed God was whispering to my soul? There's something sacred about being still on a day when the world is rushing. There's something powerful about opening your heart in silence while others fill the air with noise. And that is exactly what heaven is inviting you into right now. This is not about proving anything. It's not about performance. It's about perception. Heaven speaks differently to the chosen ones, because they've chosen to hear differently. So if you feel the need to withdraw today, do it. If you sense that something in the atmosphere is trying to get your attention, pause. Don't force your mind to understand. Let your spirit recognize, because today isn't just another day. It's a checkpoint in the invisible, a doorway disguised as routine, a divine signal only the aligned will perceive. Heaven doesn't need a microphone, it just needs your attention. Let that be your posture now. God doesn't always speak in words. Sometimes He speaks through the aches, through the tension in your shoulders that you can't explain, through the sudden drop in your energy, through the pressure behind your eyes, even when there are no tears, through the overwhelming desire to retreat, even when the world calls you forward. Your body isn't betraying you. It's revealing something. It's translating a voice that doesn't use language. It's becoming the vessel through which the Spirit whispers. You see, chosen one, when your spirit is attuned, but your mind is distracted, God will allow your body to become the messenger. He knows that when you ignore the silence in your soul, you might still respond to the silence in your limbs, to the heaviness in your chest, to the sudden chill in a warm room, to the way your stomach turns without reason. Have you been feeling strange sensations lately? Have you been more sensitive to noise, to people, to places you used to move through easily? That's not weakness. That's spiritual translation. There's something sacred happening in your nervous system, a recalibration, a signal trying to find space in your awareness. You're not broken, you're receiving. In the Old Testament, prophets would tremble when the presence of God approached. Daniel's strength would leave his body when heaven came near. Even Jesus, before the cross, felt agony in his flesh that translated what the Spirit was bearing. Why do you think it should be different for you? You are spirit clothed in skin. When the spirit is shaken, the skin reacts. So when you suddenly feel like withdrawing, stop asking, "What's wrong with me?" Start asking, "What's being whispered to me?" When your heart races and you haven't moved, don't panic. Pause and listen. You are not just tired. You are being silenced for sensitivity. You are not just drained. You are being emptied for revelation. You are not just moody. You are being invited into spiritual perception. But here's the problem. Most people run from this. They medicate it. They scroll it away. They explain it as stress, or lack of sleep, or just a weird day. But the chosen don't dismiss what's divine. You're being pulled into a higher listening. And it starts in the body before it becomes clear in the soul. The pain is not random. The fatigue is not failure. The tension is not dysfunction. It's prophecy, written in the language of the flesh. And the sooner you stop resisting it, the sooner you'll be able to hear what heaven is actually saying. Because when God wants to prepare you, He doesn't always send a preacher. Sometimes He presses your chest. Sometimes He closes doors to your energy. Sometimes He lets you feel alone so you can stop leaning on false noise. And finally, hear Him. Let me ask you this. Have you paused long enough to listen to what your body is trying to say? Have you treated your inner signals like holy territory, or as inconvenience? Are you missing divine revelation simply because it didn't come in the format you expected? Your healing won't come through more effort. It will come through surrender, through asking, "God, what are you saying through this tension?" Through opening your heart and declaring, "I'm willing to feel if that's how you choose to speak." God does not waste sensations. He doesn't allow discomfort just to punish. He uses it to realign. This August 6th, He's using your body as a portal, a signal tower, a holy translator. Because this isn't just a physical month, it's a spiritual turning. And your body is ahead of the understanding. It always is. Even science agrees. Your nervous system perceives before your thoughts catch up. So how much more true is that for the spiritual man? Don't curse the signal, bless it, and then slow down enough to understand it. Be still. Take your shoes off. This ground is holy, because your body has become the mountain where God whispers. And He's not far. He's in the tension. He's in the ache. He's in the stillness. Don't medicate this moment. Meet it and say, "God, if this is you, I won't run. If you're calling me through this weight, I'll listen. If you're silencing me through this fatigue, I surrender." Because the chosen know, God doesn't need words to deliver truth. He only needs someone willing to feel what others ignore. And you, if you're reading this, you were made to feel what others pretend not to. You were chosen to carry what others deny. You were designed to translate what others mock. This is not too much for you. This is divine language. And your body is finally listening. Why you're feeling what others can't sense. Some things can't be explained, only felt. And when you're chosen, you start noticing what no one else does. You walk into a room and the energy feels off, but everyone else seems fine. You hear someone speak, and even if their words sound right, something deep in your spirit whispers, "No, don't trust this." You wake up in the middle of the night with an urgency in your chest, and you don't know why. And when you try to tell people about it, they laugh, they minimize, they say you're too sensitive, they say you overthink. But what they don't understand is that you weren't created to sleep through life like the others. You were called to sense what the crowd is blind to. You were made to perceive what the natural mind can't process. You were anointed to feel, so you could protect what others would let slip away. The truth is, you've been given a spiritual radar, and it's being sharpened this week. That's why you feel overwhelmed in places you used to handle. That's why people you once tolerated now exhaust you. That's why certain songs, certain smells, certain noises suddenly hit your body like a warning. Because your discernment is evolving, and your nervous system is catching what others can't. You're not crazy. You're just no longer numb. You're not overreacting. You're finally reacting the way God designed you to, with spiritual intelligence. Let me ask you something. Why do you think you're the only one in your family who feels things this way? Why do you think you're the one who always senses when something is off, even before anything happens? It's not just personality, it's purpose. You're not supposed to be like everyone else. You're not here to fit into their rhythms. You're here to interrupt them with truth. But that truth comes at a cost, and the cost is sensitivity. Because to carry divine sight, you must feel things before they manifest. You must be able to detect storms in calm skies. You must be able to read faces that lie with smiles. And that's exhausting, Baz, isn't it? It makes you want to shut down, to silence the gift, to retreat and pretend you don't feel what you do. But you can't unfeel it. And you're not supposed to. Because right now, as August begins, Heaven is activating a deeper level of this gift in you. You've passed too many tests to go back to blindness, and the spiritual battlefield is intensifying. That's why your body is alert. That's why your chest tightens when some people approach. That's why your peace leaves certain rooms before your feet do. Because you are seeing spiritually, even when your eyes are closed. Don't dull your senses for comfort. Don't explain away the signals to keep people at ease. Don't betray your knowing just to feel normal, because being normal will cost you your mission. You're not here to be understood. You're here to be aligned. You're here to guard what God gave you, even when no one else sees what you're guarding. And the more sensitive you become, the more sacred your boundaries must be. Sensitivity is not weakness, it's a weapon. And it's one of the first signs that your field is being upgraded. God does not sharpen those He will not send, and He does not allow you to feel more unless you're ready to protect more. So this week, especially August 6th, don't ignore the sensations. Don't suppress the warnings. Don't try to numb what you've been trained to carry. If you're feeling more, it's because you're being entrusted with more. Let others move blindly. You walk by revelation. Let others call it paranoia. You call it preparation. Let others ignore the storm. You build the ark. Because when the time comes, they will need your sensitivity. And they will remember that you were the one who felt it all first. How to hear even without understanding. There are moments when nothing makes sense, but your soul knows it's still supposed to listen. God doesn't always speak in ways the mind can grasp. Sometimes He speaks in silence. Sometimes through a dream you barely remember. Sometimes through someone's tone, not their words. and sometimes through a conflict you didn't want, but needed to face. Have you ever sat in stillness and felt like something was being said, even though no voice came? Have you ever walked into a place and felt both peace and weight at the same time, and couldn't explain why? That's not confusion. That's a spiritual dialogue beyond your thoughts. That's God showing you how to hear with your being, not just your ears. You see, most people only listen when they understand. They want reasons, they want steps, they want explanations. But God doesn't operate like a textbook. He operates like a whisper in the wind. And that whisper requires trust before clarity. You've been asking questions lately, haven't you? Why am I feeling this shift? Why do I feel distant from everyone? Why do I keep getting the same inner prompt again and again, but no full answer? It's because you're not supposed to figure it out. You're supposed to walk it out. You're supposed to respond to the pull, not to the proof. Understanding often comes after obedience. First, God shows you a glimpse. Then He watches how you respond to it. And only later, sometimes much later, He reveals why it mattered. This is why so many miss the message. Because they wait to feel ready before moving. They wait to be certain before saying yes. But the Spirit doesn't shout in certainties. It whispers in alignment. God is speaking to you, but not always in language. Sometimes it's a pressure in your chest when you're with the wrong people. Sometimes it's a recurring moment in your mind that won't leave. Sometimes it's peace that shows up the moment you choose distance. Can you listen to that? Can you trust that feeling, even when the facts don't agree? Because what you can't explain right now is still part of your preparation. Some of the greatest transformations begin with a moment that didn't make sense. Moses saw a bush burning and had no idea it was the beginning of his mission. Joseph was thrown into a pit and didn't know it was a path to the palace. You too are being taken through unexplainable corridors, but they are corridors of calling. And right now the Spirit is teaching you a new way to listen. A listening that doesn't wait for clarity. A listening that's rooted in surrender. A listening that says, God, I don't get it, but I still trust you. That kind of posture moves heaven. It separates the asleep from the awake. It turns the chosen into warriors. Because warriors aren't the ones who have all the answers. They're the ones who know how to move with the signal. So if this week feels strange, let it be. If you feel pulled to silence, follow it. If you feel the need to protect your energy, obey it. Don't explain it. Don't analyze it. Just align with it. Because you're not being tested on your understanding. You're being prepared through your sensitivity. God is sharpening you, not to make life harder, but to make you ready for what's about to change. So listen with your body, with your atmosphere, with your spirit, because when He speaks into your whole field. And even when you don't understand, you'll still know. What you align with now will echo through August. There are seasons when your alignment matters more than your action. When the external hustle means nothing if the internal signal is off. And August is one of those seasons. You've been through cycles before, haven't you? New month, new energy, new challenges, new pressure. But this August doesn't just bring change. It amplifies what you're already aligned with. That means whatever is in your field now, your beliefs, your fears, your desires, your shadows, will echo louder in the coming days. If you're still holding on to old wounds, they'll resurface. If you're clinging to false stories about who you are, they'll be challenged. If you're aligned with clarity and peace, it will expand in powerful ways. But make no mistake, nothing will stay neutral this time. God is making sure that the spiritual seeds you've planted are going to sprout, whether they are weeds or fruit. So here's the question you must ask yourself right now. What am I truly aligned with? Not what you say you believe, not what you hope happens, but what your posture, your thoughts, your energy, what they're actually feeding. Are you aligned with fear disguised as caution? Are you aligned with procrastination masked as waiting on God? Are you aligned with heaviness that you've mistaken for responsibility? Or are you aligned with the voice of the Spirit, even when it's quiet? Are you aligned with the next version of yourself, even before it fully arrives? Are you aligned with faith that doesn't ask for signs, but chooses to move anyway? Because here's the truth. The Spirit doesn't wait for you to be perfect to align you, but it does wait for you to be honest. And this August is going to expose that honesty. This month is not a reset. It's a magnifier. And if you don't realign now, the wrong energies will gain momentum. Fast. That conflict you're tolerating, it'll deepen. That relationship that drains you, it'll reveal its cost. That calling you've been ignoring, it'll haunt you louder. But also, that seed of peace you've been nurturing quietly, it will grow. That little choice to protect your spiritual space, it will expand your clarity. That act of obedience you made in silence, it will open unexpected doors. Because in spiritual timing, alignment is louder than declarations. You don't need to tell the world who you are, you just need to become it. And the month of August will respond to that version of you. This is a moment to clear the field, clean the altar, adjust your focus. You're being invited to partner with heaven, not in theory, but in frequency. And your frequency is determined by what you give your attention to, by what you say yes to, by what you no longer tolerate, by what you protect in silence. So choose now, before the noise increases, before the pace picks up, before the energy around you demands your agreement. Choose alignment over anxiety. Choose clarity over confusion. Choose presence over performance. Because how you align now will determine what August becomes for you. Not because you're controlling the future, but because you're finally surrendering to it with intention. God is not asking for you to be ready. He's asking for you to be aligned. Let your yes be clean. Let your no be holy. Let your energy be anchored in what's true, even if it's still unfolding. Because once August begins to echo, you'll thank yourself for the posture you chose today. Only the attentive ones will recognize the call. Not everyone will feel it. Not everyone is meant to. Because this call, the one whispering through the cracks of the noise, the one vibrating beneath the surface of August, isn't public. It's sacred, and only the ones who are spiritually attentive will recognize it. Not the loudest, not the most educated, not the most prepared, but the ones who have made silence a sanctuary, the ones who watch the invisible shifts in the atmosphere, the ones who wake up from dreams they can't explain and still listen, the ones who sense God's fingerprint in things others dismiss. You've felt this before, haven't you? That strange knowing, when everyone else is moving fast and something tells you to slow down. When the world celebrates noise and your spirit aches for quiet. When something inside of you says, pay attention, this matters. That's not a coincidence. That's spiritual discernment, and it's being activated now. Because this moment, this exact August threshold, is more than just transition. It's a test, a calling, a divine whisper asking, will you notice me even when I'm not obvious? The truth is, many people will miss what this month is releasing. They'll say, nothing's happening. They'll keep scrolling. They'll stay busy. They'll laugh at the idea that God speaks through timing, through atmosphere, through the body itself. But you're not many people. You're chosen. And being chosen doesn't make you better. It makes you responsible. Responsible for watching. Responsible for honoring the invisible. Responsible for recognizing the quiet language of God when He doesn't shout. So before this video ends, ask yourself, what has God been whispering lately that I've been too distracted to hear? What signal have I ignored because I thought it was just emotion? What truth has kept returning to me, even when I tried to dismiss it? That's where the call is. Not in lightning, Not in earthquakes, not in the big gestures you're waiting for. It's in the stillness that speaks without sound. It's in the peace that comes when you finally say yes. It's in the alignment that doesn't make sense, but won't let you go. This final message is simple. You won't need signs this time. You'll just need attentiveness, because the reward is already moving toward you. The shift is already happening. The opening is already being carved out for your next level. But only the attentive ones will recognize it. Let that be you, not because you forced it, but because you were present enough to receive. Now, walk in stillness. Protect your field, and listen like someone who knows they're being called, even in silence. Because you are, and this month will prove it.